introducing this little angel here, this beautiful baby? Who is this?
Absolutely. This is our beautiful baby, Kismet, Bobby Collins-Bride, born here about 3 months ago, October 22nd, in this home. And she's the best thing that's ever happened to us. Yes, my other half of love of my life. Yeah, my life partner, my best friend, my future wife, Tatiana.
First, it's faith. Faith over fear, having full faith that she came at the time she was meant to. And also communication.
Every day's a different day. Every moment is a different moment. One moment you're great, and the next moment you are like, what the heck are we doing? And luckily for us, though, is we have community, and we have other people that we can lean on and call on, and we don't even lean and call on them. They just show the heck up.
Hearing a little bit more about your rite of passage becoming parents. And we hosted initiation during your baby ceremony, your baby shower ceremony.
Knew I wanted to be witnessed by both of our communities in this transition to parenthood. Yes, a baby shower is great. A celebration is great.
What is your hope for the future?
My hope is for people to not feel alone.
You know, we talk a lot in our men's circle about the importance of protection.
I asked him, what does it mean to be a man? I'm so grateful I did that. His simple word is protector.
So amazing to be with you here in your gorgeous home, Tatiana and Dr. B. Thank you for having me with you. Family, I'd love to just start by you introducing this little angel here, this beautiful baby. Who is this?
Absolutely. This is our beautiful baby, Kismet, Bobby Collins-Bride, born here about 3 months ago, October 22nd, in this home. And she's the best thing that's ever happened to us. She's been such a light in our life during quite a challenging time this last year or so with the loss of my father, as you guys know. Who is she? Her middle name is named after him, Bobby, after my dad, Bob Bride. And yeah, that's our love of our life.
Speaking of love of your life, could you introduce your beloved here?
Yes, my other half of love of my life. My life partner, my best friend, my future wife, Tatiana, mother of my child. I met her at a yoga experience about 4 years ago, and my eyes and my heart just immediately exploded. Beyond grateful for her in my life. And yeah, this is Tatiana's.
Welcome, Tatiana.
Thank you.
Good to have you here. Tell us a little about, maybe you can also introduce your Miss Kismet. I know BCB already shared, but got to hear from the mama, and I'd love to hear you share about BCB.
Yeah, absolutely. This is my little best friend. You get to hang out with her every day. She looks just like her dad. So that's a great thing because I get to see him all the time too. And yeah, Brendan is a kind king. He is the epitome of man. That's what I told him on one of our first dates. He is compassion. He is safety. He holds that for me and for our family and for all of his people that come to see him. And yeah, just great power. Just holds great power in his presence.
So we'd love to hear, speaking of power and presence and the epitome of man, could you just share a little bit about kind of what you're up to in the world, what you're called to in the world, and a little bit about your path, your journey?
Absolutely. Up to in the world, by day I'm a chiropractor, so that's my primary offering to humanity, to help people heal. I'm not a healer. I help others heal. I don't identify as that. It's my own personal. And so that's what I do 9 to 5, 6 days a week, pretty much. Help people understand more of themselves, more of their bodies, connect deeper to the God within and the God everywhere. Yeah, that's a big part of my journey. And I also do a lot of men's work. So actually this upcoming week, I have our Delta Warrior Retreat, which is a chiropractic retreat for men in chiropractic. Delta Sigma Chi is a sacred fraternity I'm a part of. And this year, in 2025, we're having around 100 men that will be showing up. And that's a big part of my life. Always has been since I was a kid, but even in undergrad too. Started a fraternity. And I really think men need men is the simplicity of that calling, because strong men are why I am who I am today. Being surrounded by other men that are intentionally trying to be the best versions of themselves, be the best husbands and fathers and community leaders and members as we can is a evident need. And I am grateful that God has presented this path to me and has surrounded me by such amazing men and human beings. So those are the two big purposes in my life. And what I'm called to offer my gifts is chiropractic, helping people discover themselves and helping men discover themselves and heal what needs to be healed so they can show up for the future generations in their communities.
Thank you. That's really important work in the world, and I can see that it sounds like it's almost easeful for you. The way that you talk about it just sounds so natural, and at the same time, I bet it's really deep and challenging work as well. And we'll come back to that, but I'd love to hear from you, Tati. I know that when I first met you, and you shared one of your big dreams with me, which was to become a mother, and that was one of your big life purposes. And you have also been very deep in like guiding healing work as well, and being and working with women. And so I'd love to just hear a little bit about your passions and what you're called to.
Yes. So motherhood has definitely been number one. I've known that since I was a kid, and that's also a huge part of what brought us two together. I think having that conversation first really allowed that desire to come to the surface for me and be very prominent in my life. In my early 20s, I was kind of on the back burner, knowing that was going to happen eventually. And in that time, yoga found me. So I got started with teaching some yoga. That was actually 10 years ago this year. And also went down the path of Reiki, did my Reiki certifications, Reiki trainings, as well as massage therapy. And what that looked like is I kind of combined all of those practices together to do work mainly for women, but for all people. Just having a healing session, pull the emotional bodies, the energetic bodies, and being able to offer whatever was needed in each session. Also offering women's circles, and as of now, doing some circles with moms. So we do some virtual meetings, and it's been so pivotal just for me alone to have a consistent check-in with people who are going through the same things. So just really, I joked that all of my offerings were preparing me for childbirth, meditation and the yoga and all of that, because it really all ties in together in my life. Especially, having the home birth and having the birth all natural. So, yeah.
Beautiful. Yeah, as you were sharing your gifts, I was thinking like a triple threat, but rather than that, it's more like a triple blessing. You have these like three modalities that are now coalescing into the honor of being a mother. I'd love to just hear, I've read from Sabapri Some and Melodoma's work from the West African traditions that their community, like couples are paired together and matched together based on their life purpose. That's part of how they match people, which I think is really interesting. And from what I'm hearing, like your life purpose are very aligned. And then, of course, to become parents. But we'd just love to hear anything that kind of threads you both together. And then I know community is also a big part of your lives, and being of service is very clearly a theme. So you could just share a little bit about that as well.
Okay, yeah, I'll start. What brought us together was 2020. I was hosting a lot of health events. During COVID, there's zero understanding of actually what healing is and what it means to be healthy. And so trying to really create a lot of events outside to get people to start to come back into community, come back into themselves, come back into movement and these tools, these practices to heal. And by a friend, naturally met Tatiana, and she held the first yoga experience for a lot of us. And so that was like my first glimpse into her. And yoga was like my first spiritual practice. Never knew what it was. I was like, oh my God, this is really interesting. But experiencing her practice was, she included the Reiki, she included the hands-on, but it wasn't stretching. It was like you can feel a shift in your energy. So by just seeing her showing up in her most authentic self too, she just had her hair cut. She was skating with this boombox on in San Francisco, wearing all black, and she had these beautiful green eyes. And I was just stunned. I was in shock. And so just that, immediately, I just remember her so vividly, from the interactions that we had in that moment to her actually receiving her medicine and her work. And that just created such a moment for me. I grabbed her card after that, and I always kind of held on to it, just thinking something's going to happen here, maybe, hopefully. And, 4 years later or 3 years later, we got together for our first date, and pretty much getting to know her having conversations of all the offerings, all the things that she wants to give to humanity. Well, that's the first, in alignment that I needed. Have someone that wants to help people change and come back to themselves and heal, and also change a lot of generational stuff that we both have experienced. We will experience them, as everyone does, different hardships and things that are very challenging. It's a part in the walk of life that we all experience. But someone that's intentionally really focused on understanding and changing the narrative and changing what we see. We see the same pattern repeat in our families, and wanting to, in ourselves, just be different. That felt so nourishing. And then she stopped after that. I don't remember, it was her birthday dinner, and she said, "These are all my offerings, yes. And I know my biggest purpose in life is to be a mother, control family." And I remember in that moment, and I've never had that experience in my life. I've never have said in my own words, in my own mind, without any external influence of trying to evoke this "I love you." It was immediate. Oh, I love this woman. I just fell in love with her. I've seen her, I've witnessed her, I've experienced her and how she offers and gives this world more love. And now I just really felt like I saw her. She was the one. So now we get to do this work. Now we get to create and nurture a beautiful baby and our next generation the way that we want. We wish that we were raised, which is something I got from my father too. He did a great job at that. Yeah, that's how we found each other. That's how we came to where we're at now, and how we want to offer more to this world and more places for people to be themselves.
Yeah. I think to add to that too, how we weave together in our purposes is bringing individuals to a more authentic expression of themselves, through empowerment, through, realization that they can do the work and that they have that power within them, and through the help of a practitioner, a friend, that we continue to rise, individually and together. And I think that is how community is formed, by working on yourself, on myself, on himself. That's how we really found each other, was doing our own internal work. And I think at a time where those energies kind of matched up, that's when we were like more drawn to each other, because it wasn't until 4 years later that we really started dating. But yeah, by doing one's own work and showing up authentically, we connect to community who's also doing the same. Yeah, we all just magnetize towards each other.
Just one more question around, what is it like to raise and shepherd a new soul, a baby at this time? We're living in really intense times. And so what's I know you said you want to raise a healthy, natural family. So what's that like in the now?
First, it's faith. Faith over fear. Your environment is a direct reflection of what you are harnessing in your mind. And so having full faith that she came at the time she was meant to. That's what her name means. Kismet. It's when it's supposed to be. When my will and our will and divine will align. And having faith that she is helping us just as much as we are helping her. And also communication. That is the number one thing, talking about, at that dinner, hey, I want kids. This is my biggest dream. And then throughout our relationship, what does that look like? And navigating family, especially early postpartum days, that is very, it could be challenging to navigate if communication isn't at the forefront of your relationship. So I think, faith and communication are huge pillars to that, in my opinion.
Yeah, when it's hard. To keep it real, it's hard, man. It's a whole new world. It's a whole new version of ourselves that we're discovering and unraveling. It's a big unravel is really what it is, and it's figuring it out. Every day's a different day. Every moment is a different moment. One moment you're great, and the next moment you are like, what the heck are we doing? And luckily for us, though, is we have community, and we have other people that we can lean on and call on, and we don't even lean and call on them. They just show the heck up. And that's the biggest blessing that we have. So yeah, I would say faith over fear is the foundation of it. Surrendering and always trying to give to each other is what's kept us extremely connected, is we almost care about each other more than ourselves, which is a little bit our pattern that we have personally, which is a big blessing, honestly, because we both always feel deeply supported, and we are both always feeling deeply considered at all times. So that's what's kept us super strong during a very, very challenging last 6 months.
Yeah.
So, and then from there, getting clear on what you want is the number one need.
All right, y'all. Well, I'm looking forward to hearing a little bit more about your rite of passage becoming parents. And we hosted initiation during your baby ceremony, your baby shower ceremony. And so I'd just love to hear a little bit about what that was like for you all, and why was that important for you as you became parents?
Yeah. So I remember I just knew I wanted to be witnessed by both of our communities in this transition to parenthood. And it was one of the first times that both of our families, like extended families, were going to be coming together. So I was like, I'm going to call it my embrace friends. I know they'll be able to do, something with the thoughts that I have. And yeah, y'all showed out and it was beautiful. And I think the main intention was, just being witnessed and showing our families like, hey, we are spiritual. This is who we are as people. And yes, a baby shower is great. A celebration is great. And also, hey, this is how we are living our lives going forward. And thank you for being part of it. And this is how we're going to continue.
Yeah, I would say similar things. What it did for us was it allowed us to get clear on what we want, how we want to move as a family. And then I think inertia really prompted, like, make sure that you speak your needs, make sure you speak to how we can show up for you. That really stick out to me. You need to be speaking your needs to your community. You can't expect them to show up. They can't be in your mind at all times. You need to be advocating for yourself constantly. And so it allowed me to understand more of what's to come. And again, to really speak to who we are as a family, how I want to offer it. And if you're in that, this is it.
Yeah, there's that famous saying, right? It takes a village to raise a child, right. And the parents are a part of that. And what I remember from that ceremony was that it was really a recreating of the modern village, right? Like you had both of your sides of the family, like your friends, and I'm curious just to hear a little bit about, like, because there was that moment with UBCB where all the men were coming in and like showering you in love. And then Tatiana, you had that moment where all the women were coming to you and your mother was there. I'm just curious, like, what was that like for you, and how did that kind of fill you or charge you up for this big life choice ahead?
Made me not feel alone. Mm-hmm. I didn't feel isolated. I didn't feel like I had to figure this out on my own. So having all my cousins, my uncles, my brothers be able to put their hands on me to speak prayers into my soul, it activated a part of my soul that was feeling quite low at that time. Honestly, it was a pretty overwhelmed state going into that. I didn't even want to be there, to tell you the truth. And then to really receive everyone's love and everyone's blessings, everyone's support, it brought me back kind of out of the shadows a bit. So I think that's the big rule for men and a lot of people is that feeling of isolation, feeling alone is what really kills us and kills us parents. Like we're all by ourselves, which is what the village is for, which is what the community is for. To feel belonging is there for. So that's really what it did for me personally.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. One of the most potent memories of that was just my mom. My mom was right in front of me and she had her hand on me, and just allowing myself to really just let go and cry and just bawl and just be so, like, see all of the women around me crying too, and all of us just being in this container held by the men, because their portion was before us. So they built that safety for us to really just be in that emotion together. And that was some of the deepest connection I've felt with my mom, my sister, family, friends, people from high school, that were like, I don't know what that was, but I feel so connected. I was crying the whole time. And it was just very, very powerful, empowering, and very connecting. Yeah.
Takes a lot of courage to show yourselves and be seen and witnessed in community. I know that, people say like, oh, you've healed so much. Okay, we'll go home and see your family and see how much you've healed and grown. And you did that courageously in front of everyone, really showing who you are. I'm just curious, like, what do you think can happen if more people start to show themselves or do the work with their family or really be in their courage and their power and just, because like you said, you can just have a baby shower and a celebration. I don't say just, but like you can have a baby shower and ceremony in any kind of way you want, but you all did it in a different kind of way. So what's the impact of that?
Vulnerability. Mm-hmm. I think, I've learned in my journey of motherhood, like in our society, it's seen that like the birth is the end when that's really just the beginning. So being vulnerable even before that happens, because that door is just going to get, burst open after the baby comes, and to be that vulnerable with the people that you're calling in to be your village before the baby comes builds that foundation of support. So I think, vulnerability allows for a deeper connection with your family, chosen family, friends, more authentic you can show up with the people around you, the clearer they can show up for you.
Just to add on to, I think having ceremonies like this, rites of passages like this, going into motherhood, fatherhood, as a man, as a woman, what it allows for humanity is just to have your needs so met. If you're like, it's a specific space, like you don't get who you are and storing your needs in front of everybody. It's not like a common dialogue that we have. So to have an intentional space in front of everybody, like we are entering in this next stage of life and we need help, we need support. This is where we want to go. And to claim that and name that, just to get that out there from this mental realm that we're in, receive so much equal love and support. Reciprocity is so much there. And the villages can be created, communities can be created because we're being honest, we're showing up for each other. So I think if we had these, and then we're connecting deeply to God, ultimately is like the essence of it all is we are accepting this gift that God is giving us. We are surrendering to the new situation and the responsibility of becoming a father. And we don't feel alone in that, though. Yes, we feel so directly connected to spirit, and we are naming that in front of everybody to then pour it right back into us. It just feels like this continuous loop that we got this, that we can do this, and we will do this, and we will be so supportive in this. So I think the world can deeply improve if we all did something of this nature.
Thank you. I guess my last question is just, what is your hope for the future? And what is your hope for other people who are going through similar life changes and transitions?
My hope is for people to not feel alone. My hope is for people to receive such connection and faith to God and to the Spirit, for them to feel clear on what this next step is, what this next direction is. Maybe not the logos and all the how, when, where, all those things, but they feel so clear that whatever they're experiencing is meant for them, that they are deeply supported in wherever life is taking them.
Yeah, and finding safety and support. That was a big lesson postpartum was like, gotta ask for the support. You gotta open up to it. So my hope is that people feel safe enough to do so and to find their people that will show up for them any time of day, morning, night, and to just really honor the process that they are going through.
Well, I'm really excited to talk to you more about your journey. And I had the honor of being a guide during the rite of passage ceremony called Metamorphosis, which was part of your initiation, I'm imagining.
Yes.
But would just love to hear kind of what was going on for you at the time. I know you had shared that being a mother was so important to you, and this ritual around maiden, mother, matriarch came about. But just tell me where you were at that time and why that ritual was so important to you.
Yes. So around that time, I had feelings of a transition. I didn't really have the words for it. And I had Brendan actually recommend this to me. And he was like, my friends are putting this on. I really think that'd be a great fit for you. So kind of dove more in. And remember our first hangout, we went on a hike, you and I, and kind of got to talk a little bit more. And you offered words that kind of explained what I was feeling, words that I didn't have for myself. And the more I learned about the offering, the more it resonated with me. And I realized I hadn't heard of any rituals to help with a transition of that sort in my life before. So to have an honorary way to be witnessed and to move through my own life with the help of women who know what they're doing in each and every step of the way, and to have a theme throughout it was exactly what I needed at the time. I think at that point in my life, I was moving from the maiden to the mother, and I only knew what that felt like. And so to have this ceremony to be guided through and to be honored in that and witnessed in that was huge for me. So, yeah.
What do you think the power is of you doing something like that versus not, or some women having these opportunities to be witnessed, seen, celebrated versus not? Like, what happens for women when they have these kinds of moments?
Well, the community was a huge aspect of it, the sisterhood. We're still connected through a group chat, everyone that participated. And I've met some of my closest friends through that experience. So I think being able to go through something in my own individual journey while others are doing the same thing around me was very empowering, because even though each of our journeys are so different, we have each other because we're each going through this transition. So I think just being able to see the different becomings around me helped me to really just open up and fully step more into that vulnerability. To see each person be vulnerable within themselves.
Yeah, I'm thinking about many women from many different cultures who've all arrived in the U.S. and some of them have lost some of these rites and rituals and initiations. And I'm wondering for you, oh my gosh, he's just smiling at me. As you literally became a mother, you became pregnant like pretty soon after. What do you think is the impact of doing something like that? How does it, even lightly or powerfully inform you really stepping into this role of motherhood?
Yes. So I believe, a lot of my intuition, it almost feels like this kind of fuzzy, furry, just okay, there's a pool. I'm just going to go towards that pool. I don't see the clear picture yet. So having the rites helps to put that into perspective and to really fine tune what it is I'm seeing. And that's through the experiences of other women, and through community. So again, I kind of had this feeling like something was shifting, something was changing. I knew from a really young age I wanted to be a mom, and it was only through going through the experience that I realized, oh, I'm going through the process. I'm in it right now. This is my path. I am doing the work. This is the work. And yeah, I think what it just comes down to is having that guidance to put words to what I'm feeling, because it's happened so many times in lifetimes before me. So to be guided forward through lineages backwards, I think that was the most powerful part.
Yeah, I really feel that too, that this work is not just for people who've never experienced a rite of passage or an initiation, particularly women. I mean, we have things like birthdays and quinceañeras or, promotions and graduations, but this is a different thing. Maybe you could just say a little bit about what that was for you, and any moment that really kind of stood out.
One of the moments that stood out was the guided dance where we each had a scarf and we kind of cocooned ourselves, and we were in our own darkness, again, together, all in the same room, but we were all just kind of cocooned in our own darkness, and being able to drop into that and really go fully into what that was at the time. And then that transitioned naturally into like dancing with the scarves and, you know, all of us kind of running around each other and frolicking through, you know, all the different scarves. And that was really powerful because it represented, again, the work, and it represented it in such a concise way. And the celebration that we get to experience as we do this with community. So for people who have not experienced a ritual or rites of passage to this depth, it brings you to your core. It allows you an opportunity to go into the depths, and some people aren't comfortable doing that on their own, to really, you know, scour through their shadows and to scratch, you know, the surface of these wounds that may be really hidden. So I think it really just allows deeper connection to self, with the support of people around you who are doing the same things. It's going through the depths to get to that celebration. So with the birthday parties and the graduations, there's the celebration. But that celebration seems a little bit more potent once you've actually gone through the work of it all to get there.
I like the way that you said that.
It's good talking to you.
What's up, brothers?
Good to see you, brother. So, you know, I had the honor of being at a beautiful rites of passage initiation that you held, that were really you and your brothers held for you, and a lot of your family were there, and it was a very powerful, very inspiring thing to see, and definitely inspired me to be like, oh, I think I'm gonna need this sometime soon. So I wanted to ask you a little bit about that. Like, what is it that inspired you to say, okay, I have been through the various initiations and fires that life has put me through, but there's something about having this ritual, this rites of passage ritual that is essential for me.
Yeah. So why? I mean, for me, I'm a very heart-driven human being. So a lot of times I can't logically explain why I do what I do. It's really what God just tells me to do, and I follow. And it's having a great conversation with a brother of ours, DJ, and speaking to the journey that I've been on over these last forever. But really since 2018 is when my healing and like spiritual journey began. And I feel like I came to a lot of completions of a lot of the things I've been working through. And I also believe that I was really walking with the most integrity that I have ever. And I'm moving, in a direction that it just felt like it was time for me to tell my family and tell my people who I am. And I believed my walk was in alignment with the talk. But now for me, I'm within family in particular, I'm not always the one to be expressing myself and to be expressing, where I'm really at in life. So I want to take this moment as I turn 30, as I found my wife, and when I felt like I found home. I'm back here in the home that I was literally conceived in, and my parents first had me. Everything was like, oh, I'm coming home, I'm coming home, I'm coming home. I did the journey, I did the trials and tribulations. I came back, and now it's time to explain myself and where I've been and where I want to go. And if you want to be with me in this life, these are my needs, and this is my vision. So needing to name that to my community felt like it was my primary need in life at that moment.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. It's amazing that your intuition, that your heart called you to that, because I know that one of the powerful things about initiation in a lot of studies that have been done is about being witnessed. It's an opportunity for people to be witnessed in who they are, right? And in that witnessing of who they are, who they want to be, it calls them forward to actually, now I've said it and I have to be it. So I'm curious, like, when you did that, the two questions I have is like, what did it do for you? How did it change you? And also, well, I know for myself, I wish that I had that when I was younger, when I was like maybe just going into puberty. But yeah, how does that, the lack of that affect men, affect you, and how did it affect men, like not ever having that witnessing?
I think it affects men, or affect me personally, not having that witnessing and that expression too. It doesn't allow the clarity. And I think that's one of our biggest needs, is clarity, to know who we are first off, and how we are meant to show up in this world secondly. And then to say it out loud, to speak it out, to be witnessed and be reflected on actually that's not true. Actually, you're not that man yet. Actually, you need to do this more work. Actually, you are that man. And you are other parts of yourself that I can't even perceive. I'm not even seeing these blind spots within, whether they're good or negative, right? Maybe they're blind spot that I need to lean more into and figure it out. Or maybe I need to recognize and hold that strength of mine, my weakness and my strengths. So I think, yeah, you're not getting the community, not getting the support, to be more specific. You're not getting the specificity of where you're going, right? And that's what a lot of us men need.
Yeah, beautifully said. And as you mentioned earlier, men's work is a big part of what you do. It's basically one of the two things that are your purpose and your offering in the world, which is amazing. And so as someone who, is leading these initiation rites for 100 men at a time, being a part of the various, men's circle that we're both in together for now a few years, what would be possible in our world if all men were afforded this opportunity to be initiated into manhood, to be witnessed by their community, to be both lifted up but also called out and held accountable to who their community knows they can be? And what is the lack of that? What is that producing that you see in the men around you and in our world?
Big question.
Here.
Big question. I ultimately think if this work was being done systemically throughout the entire world, then our world would be whole, would be healthy. Basic level, we wouldn't have as many men killing themselves, right? But greater than that, what's going to happen is men are going to know themselves. They're going to be able to show up for their families, their children, their wives, their partners, their communities, ready to be of service. They know their gifts. They know who they are. They know what their offerings are, and they can actually show up. And this world is going to be whole and connected if men actually had these rites of passages, had this guidance, had this clarity.
Yeah, beautifully said. I wonder what you think about this. I was speaking to a young cousin of mine and an older cousin, a man and a woman. And where that conversation landed was, we talk a lot in our men's circle about the importance of protection, men being protectors, being providers. And we don't have a standard in the world for like what it means to be a man. But in the absence of that, a lot of the times, the kind of men that people become are dangerous for women and dangerous for children, right? And so how do you see the men that get initiated? How do you see men that, do men's work? How do you see that changing them? And how do you see that creating maybe more safety, creating more integrity that then affects the people around them, affects the women and children in our lives?
Yeah, I see the men's work allowing a space for men to get clear on what that means to be a man. When I asked my dad, after doing a lot of this work, I came back from a trip and asked him, what does it mean to be a man? I'm so grateful I did that. His simple word is protector.